Welcome to the world of Level Up Weekly, a bounteous, open podcast filled with amazing loot, legitimately challenging enemies, but not too difficult to defeat, and of course, the EXP. Join our fellow big headphone adventurers Dylan the Dude and Spurnaday as they journey on a quest to find the EXP from gaming news and discussion. Hello everybody, welcome to Level Up Weekly, a weekly XP for gaming news, and I almost screwed up the introduction by saying wee. That would have been very interesting, but that's okay.
Well, it's just naturally the question. Are you listening to Level Up Weekly? Well, if you're in France, oui.
There you go. I was thinking ahead. Thanks, Dylan, for saving my stuttering problem. Anyway.
As always, you are welcome.
Well, I appreciate that, sir. Today is going to be a little more of a relaxed episode. We didn't write 1.5 million things to cover over us today. This is every once in a while I want to do these episodes where they're kind of like a off the cuff conversation between Dylan and I. It's almost kind of like what we like to do in Dungeon Grind, but it's for an hour and we're going to talk about whatever we feel like talking about, even though we kind of already technically do that because it's our own show and we kind of produce it. But anyway, this one's a little more laid back. This one's going to talk about some topics that could be from a few years back. This could be something that just happened recently. It could be about our favorite videos, like watching enough Alexa and then replace the Alexa voice with someone else's voice conversation. I mean, there's a multitude of different things that could possibly happen today. But anyway, we welcome you.
Of course, before we get started with all that, though, I'd like to do a few little mandatory plugs here. Of course, if you're listening to us, you can listen to us on Radio Harbor Country at 106.7 WRHC FM out of the Three Oaks area, or 93.5 WRHZ FM out of the Sawyer, Michigan area. You can also find us on Patreon. Our followers there, we really very much appreciate. Just go to patreon.com/levelupweekly. You can find us on Podbean and iTunes simply by searching Level Up Weekly, as well as a few other platforms, Twitter, most notably. And man, I was about to say something a little bit more profound there, but I guess I didn't. Anyway, support us on
We're on MySpace. Come follow us, guys.
Oh, by the way, story on MySpace, since this is a more informal episode, but...
Oh no, there's an episode on MySpace. Now I'm scared.
Thank you for following us, and thank you for all the support, and I hope you enjoyed the show. But, Jordan, so, how many Twitter followers do you have?
7 million.
If you have over 1,000,
I think I love that you just completely ignore it and you just continue with your joke.
No selling. But seriously, how many Twitter followers do you, or maybe even Rocket League Central, or some people that you know on Twitter?
I personally have 610 followers.
You are only 500 followers away from having more followers than the Baja Men. Do you remember the Baja Men?
Roughly, yeah.
Who let the dogs out? Yeah. They only have a little over 1,000 Twitter followers.
I feel like that's probably one of the Twitter accounts that maybe have tweeted 2 times in their entire existence. So it doesn't surprise me too much, to be honest.
But for a band that had a massive one hit, a massive one hit, to only have that many Twitter followers? I mean, I'm sure you know people that have over that much and, aren't nearly as, financially successful with, like, a hit single or something. Like, that just seems really low to me. Like, for some reason, I feel like we can have more followers than the Baja Men here coming soon.
Hey, man, you never know. We might get lucky. I should check to see how many Twitter followers our Level Up Weekly account has. Hold on, I'll take.
Because granted, we're still growing our brand, and we have many loyal fans and followers already. But I feel like at a steady growing rate, we could probably surpass the Baja Men in, I don't know, 20 minutes.
Wow, that's very confident of you, Dylan. That's a lot of people that we'd have to work with. We're at 37 followers, so I'm a little skeptical.
We're on our way.
Your thought of 20 minutes going in. That's why we didn't let you set the donation goals for Undertale's pacifist playthrough. So
thankfully we made what we needed for that because, whoo boy, of course, a friend of ours is actually doing something similar to what we did. I feel so bad for her that she has to do a
yeah,
genocide run.
yeah. They see the problem is you don't let the internet make a choice. You turn it into an incentive. That's why I did it the way that we did with ours, because I knew for a fact that if I was to make this decision, someone would be like genocide versus a pacifist run in Undertale, and I guarantee you that we probably would have had more people do genocide because the internet's like, haha, let's make these innocent poor boys do this. That sounded weird. Please ignore that statement. But anyway, you get what I'm saying.
Of course, and when we did it, we made great time. We formed many positive connections with the characters in the game. I could not handle, especially there are a few characters in Undertale that I just could not bring myself to actually kill. You were there when we were doing it, but there were some times when you were like in and out. Do you remember the boy that idolizes Undyne?
Oh
Like
no,
that little monster boy?
Dylan, I just want to get straight to my favorite part. Oh, whoops. It's playing and you can't hear it. You know exactly what I'm about to play though. I don't know what I'm about to play. Hold on. Cuz I don't know how this is going to sound. Okay, I'm going to just like not screw up our audio here. So
Thank you.
I'm going to just go ahead and link this to you in our super secret chat so you can watch it too, but I'm pretty sure the audience can also hear it anyway.
This is what I think it is. Yeah, this is what I think it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you can hear this. I should probably confirm that by looking in here. So let's just confirm to make sure. Okay.
Monster.
You can. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is Dylan singing his favorite tune from the classic, the infamous 36-hour charity live stream. If you've never heard it before, I feel sorry for you because I have. And I've heard it too many times, and it's also in like a highlight video I made too.
It's one of my crowning achievements, of course. Man, how tired
Monster King.
Orbits your stay.
Orbits your stay.
Humans must. I at least like the fact I had the commitment to stick to that voice in my sleep-deprived stage.
I was very concerned because I thought you were like about to pass out or something.
It breaks my heart. I mean, we picked the right time to do Undertale because while it does require some reflexes, I definitely think it would have been a lot more painful to watch you try to do Super Mario 64 on like the amount of sleep we had when we did Undertale. Because man, that would have taken a lot longer.
I can tell you right now, I'm kind of annoyed with myself thinking that I was going to run into the time that I did. It's like full 120, 10 hours, easy. It's like, no, that takes like 23 hours. How did you miss that when I was looking at the speedrun stats? So I'm a genius. Kudos to myself for not realizing that. But yeah, I'm not like a professional speedrunner by any means. I could get through Rocket League in like...
Rocket League story mode coming soon.
Rocket League story mode incoming. It was really funny. If you don't know, Dr. Disrespect is making his return February 5th. Dr. Disrespect is a fairly well-known Twitch streamer. I don't know if he does now, but he did at the time have the most amount of subscribers on Twitch. I think it's like 30 or 35,000 or something along the lines. So he is coming back. He has settled things, it looks like, with his wife. But anyway, there's that news update. Where was it? Oh, I know where I was going with this. I linked with them to talk like in their Discord server about Rocket League. And I was like, Doc's always got the saying of violence, speed, and momentum. And one thing I know in Rocket League you have is speed and momentum, just not as much violence. And someone's like, you're just a punk kid, go away. And I was like, that's the community. And it wasn't even bad too. I just started laughing because there's just these two emotes that he has that's really funny to me.
I mean, to be fair, there's a decent bit of aggression in Rocket League if you're trying to grief someone.
I mean, you could go full speed and just demo them. So, I mean, if you want, you can incinerate their car. I mean, it's possible. Don't doubt them. Just believe.
So, speaking of which, we just mentioned a news topic, of course, Dr. Disrespect returning. Do you think he's going to continue to play some of the same games that he did because obviously some of his most played games were Fortnite and player PUBG. Do you think he's going to stick with those, or do you think he's going to try to, since he's kind of rebranding a little bit with instead of the Slick Daddy Club going to the Champions Club, do you think he's going to also kind of change what games he plays, or do you think he's going to still stick with the Battle Royale type?
I think personally, I think he's going to stick with the same game type that he's gone with. The main reason I say that is because PUBG is still one of the top Twitch streamed um, games out there today. And I know when he talked before all this occurred, he wasn't a big fan of Fortnite just because it was kind of a, cartoony texture build. He might do some Call of Duty, but it's not as popular.
It was the Fisher Price version of PUBG.
Yeah, basically, that's still like the best combination, or the best comparison, I should say, to them. Like I think he'll probably go with like what he did before. I don't think he's going to stray too far from the pack on, the games that he's played before. I couldn't imagine him at least doing it.
Here's one for you.
Because I mean, to play something else, it's tough because like I'm assuming he wants to just get back in and rep the brand that he's held, with a slight tweak. He probably changed the as he used to call them, the Slick Daddy Club over to the Champions Club, as I'm sure when he said Slick Daddy, I'm sure people were gonna, he wanted to just stray away from any possibility. Of course, the first day he'll be back, there's gonna be the people that are gonna be like, ha, he's the two-timer, ha ha. But at the end of the day, he solved the situation. It's none of our business, really, to deal with that because there was no, like, domestic issues or court issues that we were aware of. Otherwise, it definitely would have been reported. So it's, like I always tell people, I was like, you know what? If he's back with his wife, that's great. If he's not back, then understandable. Things happen. It's their family issue. He decided to pull that away and just pull himself off the face of Twitch for a bit just so that he could take care of it. And that was smart because then people weren't trying to just hone him down for the next month.
Well, do you think that with the increase in popularity for other games on Twitch that you might make a pass at trying to go over to them? One that notably sticks in my mind because of the success of the Overwatch League. Do you think he might try to get an Overwatch?
He's done it before. And the main thing I remember is what was it? It was, he played it. He wasn't a big fan of it. I just think that it's one of those things where you kind of like look at a person's brand and you're like, I don't really see them, going and playing that game. I think this is what I'm thinking of right now. Cause I mean, Shroud's still playing PUBG constantly, or now he's doing Sea of Thieves and other games. Soda Poppin's still doing his normal thing. Summit 1G is playing. Hunt came out recently. I forgot about that. Hunt Showdown just released, I think, for beta. Yeah, for beta, it looks like. Are you aware of what Hunt Showdown is, by the way?
Yes.
On another note, I hate their website. That's a different thing. It's closed alpha right now, looks like. So, yeah, closed alpha exclusive. Exclusive creator event. Should not begin closed alpha testing. Let's see. Find out more. They tried too hard on this website, guys. Come on. Sorry. I like minimal designs. That's just me.
Well,
let's see.
With what you said, that does remind me, but continue yours, but I do have a question or a discussion after this.
I'm trying to think. Okay, Hunter carries with them the dead weight of the horrors they've lived. Blah, blah, blah. Published on Twitter day for day. The passing of time between each cipher is marked with 2 crosses. Okay, so I guess the stupid website just doesn't have a straightforward like game description that I could get off the back end of their section. Here we go. You and your partner are members of a secret hunting society that tracks and kills monsters. The bounties are high, but so are the risks. The smallest mistake will cost you everything. Your bounty, your gear, your life, and your very soul. Some hunt for wealth, some for power, some hunt to protect others, some hunt for glory. You must track your quarry through a dark and treacherous world. Winner takes all. Fail and go straight to interesting to here to he double hockey sticks. Can I say that on the air? Probably.
Yeah, I feel so.
I don't know if that's proper or not. But whatever. Sorry, I haven't read the FCC requirements fully. Let's see. So this is basically a game where you're a really good Van Helsing, I guess. I'm not sure if that's the best way to describe it, but they say the sun is setting on the wild. So basically, it's a Wild West game where you fight monsters. That's what it seems like.
What's not to love?
Seems cool. I mean, the screenshots that are provided, if you go to huntshowdown.com /game, they kind of show some stuff about what you look at. It looks cool. That's about the only information I could really provide. I'll have to try to update that more in the future when it's not closed alpha, which will probably go for another year if the game's successful, like PUBG. And Fortnite.
Of course.
By the way, Fortnite is also an alpha. Friendly reminder. Because games need to, if they're massively successful, they just want to stay in alpha. It's really getting to me that both of the successful Battle Royale games have both decided to just be like, we're going to be in alpha for a bit because we can't really release the full version quite yet. It's like, come on, guys, just get it done, or just, work on the quality of the game before you truly release it. I don't know. I'm asking too much, apparently.
Well, there's one game that has been in alpha for quite a while, and they're not trying to release it like a full game in alpha. I'm very happy they're not doing that. But it's a game I'm really excited for, and I want to know if you've heard much about. What do you know about the game known as Sea of Thieves?
Oh, yeah. A pretty decent amount, actually. I've gotten the chance to watch a bunch of people stream it, and a few of my Steam buddies have played it too, and they've given me their thoughts too. It's a cool game. I almost, if I wasn't a poor college student, I almost would get that game, just purely because that would be hilarious to see what you, me, Austin, and Gage would be like. Gage and Austin are like some of our friends here, and it'd be the funniest thing to just see us all on a ship and then just be like, Gage, I want to fire out this cannon. Okay, boo. I just would love to have something like that.
Well, I have played it because I was part of the Insider Hub towards the very beginning of when they started letting people play it. It is a fantastic game, even as early as when I played it. Are you familiar? You've got to be familiar with Rare, right? The studio Rare.
Yeah, of course.
Well, the people from Rare are people working on the game, so it's basically a Rare production, which is one of my favorite gaming companies of all time. So I'm very happy that they're getting the ability to do some big, ambitious project like this. I probably will end up getting it, probably using, since it comes out right after my birthday. So I'm probably just going to use money I got for my birthday along with some gift cards I still have up to actually get it. And I'm really hoping it doesn't turn into like an Ark Survival or anything like that where, you kind of just get bored of it after a while. I'm really
I think it's gonna be one of those
that.
games that I think it would be fun if you had the right people to play with. I think that's what I found. It's not a game that you can play solo as much, so I don't think it's gonna be long lived. But I think that the time that you'd have on the game would be fun. I think it's. I'm assuming, is this game going for 40 or 60?
60. It's a full $60 release.
That's the part that makes me skeptical.
Actually, that makes me a little bit more at ease because I've realized a lot lately. When I buy a $40 game, it's because the people know that there's not going to be enough content in it to keep me occupied for like a year. Like it's not going to give me a lot of replay value. When I got Resident Evil 7 for $60, I was very happy because they were also releasing free DLC along with it, which, to me, that's, or like Overwatch, where they constantly update the game and you don't have to, really put any more money into it. All of the games that I paid $40 for, like Cuphead, or actually, I didn't even pay 40 for Cuphead. I don't think. Cuphead and game,
Cuphead's not
great
40.
single player.
Cuphead was like only 20.
Was it only 20? Because I don't remember how much I
No,
paid
it
for it.
wasn't just 20. No, I think I'm flabbergasting that amount.
I think it was 40. Now that I think about it. Yeah,
Cuphead. No, it is only 20. Yeah, that is right. The
20.
official
Okay, wow,
soundtrack you can buy for $10 if you'd like. Which, by the
wow.
way,
So,
if you're a fan of just general, like, get up and go in music, I would definitely recommend that because the Cuphead soundtrack is like one of my personal favorites. In fact, I don't know if this is a cool thing to mention or not, but I think when the Game Awards were happening, I think I voted for Cuphead to be the soundtrack of the year. I remember.
absolutely, as it should. It does a very good job of capturing the 20s and 30s Fletcher Studio aesthetic within a musical context, while also not being technically bad. It's got the modern technical perfection that you could expect from modern music, while still fitting the core theme and aesthetic of the game. So it is a great soundtrack. Probably one of my top 10 favorite gaming soundtracks of late. Of course, Undertale will always be up there for just having a very simple, fun soundtrack. What are some other games, Jordan, that kind of pop into your mind when you think soundtracks you really like?
The soundtracks that I've always been a personal fan of. Let's see. I'm gonna look at my Steam game list to kind of answer that question.
Is
Let
it
me
fair to say
look
Rocket League?
here. Half-Life. When it actually plays music, yes. Rocket League, yeah. Rocket League is another really good one. Rocket League is kind of interesting though because technically they're the game that introduced me into like house EDM genre style of music because if you don't know, they partnered with Monster Cat to release a lot of new music into their menu screens and whatnot, and it's kind of cool that they did that because that also introduced me into some new avenues to music and whatnot. So yeah, for them for sure. The Division was a really good one. Let's see, Payday 2. Obviously, its heist music is hype and always fun to go with. Let's see, what else is there? Don't Starve was fun for a time. Not as much on their soundtrack. I should probably cut. I'm gonna cut that one. What
Well,
else is
let me
there?
let me throw a few more classic or kind of
Oh,
well.
obviously Undertale's on here too. I'm sorry if I steal one from you.
No, no, of course. It's such a great game, has a great soundtrack. I don't fault that at all. Some games also that I think just will always have fantastic soundtracks. Persona 4 and Persona 5 both really hit the mark on just hitting the aesthetics of their game. Kind of a more jazzy soundtrack for Persona 4, and I think I'd just say more technical rock for Persona 5. Just two excellent, excellent gaming soundtracks. Silent Hill 3, well, 2 and 3, but I think 3 has a few more notable tracks for me. Just, again, fits in very well with the aesthetic and atmosphere of the game. Nothing will ever give me more comfort and horror at the same time than the RE2 and RE3 save room music's always just those are like my childhood, like parts of my childhood I will never forget. And
Holy
probably
cow!
Halo 3. I'll also say Halo 3 has a notable soundtrack.
I've never thought about this before, but this would be very interesting. Um, I'm on GameSpot right now, and sometimes I like to just go over here and just see if there's anything cool or new that to add in here for conversation. And this was really interesting. I didn't think about this. Let's talk about what games would be cool if they had a battle royale mode built into them. But before we do that, first, I just want to point out this like section that I read that really annoyed me, which was when Fortnite came out around the time that PUBG came out. Obviously, PUBG Corp really really hated that Fortnite came out because they're like, oh, they copied our idea, but they're like, it's a genre and you didn't like protect any of your IP, right? So who cares? But it ended up establishing a really popular battle royale genre, and one of the things before I guess I kind of asked the question I did before, which is in this section, I'm going to read this from GameSpot. Brendan, player unknown Green, who is credited with having established the genre as a modder, said last year, I just feel that Fortnite Battle Royale is a bit lazy to me. They could have had a great game because Fortnite is amazing, and they could have put some unique, interesting building systems in there, almost like a tower defense Battle Royale, but they just didn't. But what can you do? It's going to happen. It's the nature of business, I guess. He credited uh, Fortnite Battle Royale to be a lazy game, yet who was in alpha for an entire year at their peak and historically record-breaking concurrent play count, and yet was still in 0.8 version of their game.
Yes.
Yo, anybody in Twitch chat, if you're watching us live on there, I would like to just have you please put Failfish in the chat for me. If you don't know what Failfish is and you're watching us on the radio, Google it. You'll see the emote that it looks like.
All the cross-referencing our radio users will have to use.
It's okay. It's quite all right. You know, we're here for both audiences. But this is a fun topic to think about, though. Some games they list in here. Obviously, PUBG and Fortnite are the popular Battle Royale games that are established right now. But what if you put Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands or maybe even The Division in a Battle Royale game? You know how cool that would be to play a Ghost Recon version? Dylan, did I not say this? I would love to play a Ghost Recon version of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Yeah, you have said that, yes. And I agree that could definitely fit in very well into the game. But there is one core element of Battle Royale games that I think would be a little odd to put into The Division or to put into Wildlands, is because the big appeal of Battle Royale games is that everyone starts on a level playing field. Everyone has the exact same things. And with how much time and effort you put into grinding for things on The Division and finding the best, leveling yourself up and doing things like that in Ghost Recon, I feel like it would kind of strip away a little bit of the game's appeal. But I think the core game mode itself would be a lot of fun.
Well, I think that it would be kind of like, what's the mode? It'd be kind of like survival, but this time actually having your gear, because in The Division there is a game mode that you can play, and it is called it's called survival, and you basically start out with just a pistol and your hazmat suit that you have on. Your helicopter crashes due to a severe weather incident, and because of that reason you're kind of forced to, basically find warmer and better clothing by either crafting or finding it, find better weapons, find better tools, and your goal is, in a nutshell, to just survive and then extract the vial that you were supposed to originally extract from the Dark Zone before. So, and you face some pretty tough opponents, and you can also do PvP. So you can have, I think, like it's 13 or so people, and either they could fight you or you could fight the AI. It depends on what you'd want to do. And that's how they built that system. So there's kind of something like that already. But I think it would just be cool, to go in and to play a game where, you put 20 people on a map for The Division, that is, and you go and you duke it out. The other thing, though, is I think mine would be in Ghost Recon, though, because if you had a way that it wasn't in tiered mode and you just were able to just use the weaponry that was available in the game, because here's the nice part, though, if you don't go into tier mode, you can use the same weapons and they won't end up being more powerful than the other. I mean, I could choose to use this SMG over an assault rifle and it's going to do less or more damage, but the end goal is you can choose your build and how you want it to set up. I think that would be cool, personally. You set up a squad of ghosts that are going to fight off other ghosts in a battle arena. That'd be really cool, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that could definitely work very well. Some kind of gaming examples that pop into my head. I know a lot of people didn't like it as much for kind of being a little too gimmicky, but I think Operation Raccoon City, the Resident Evil spinoff, that was kind of like a battle royale mode, could have a lot of potential and be pretty cool. But it would all depend on how it was handled. Capcom hasn't had a great track record of handling multiplayer Resident Evil games, so that would kind of halt it from me. But I think a zombie, uh, kind of like a PvPvE mode, could work. Kind of like players versus players, but then there's just also zombies roaming around and stuff you'd also have to keep an eye on.
Right.
I think that could definitely be a cool concept. Uh, Actually, Fortnite itself is supposed to be like the battle royale mode for Fortnite is of course free, but it does offer a PvE mode that you can buy. But do you know anyone that's actually bought in that?
What's that?
The Fortnite, like actually paid for the PvE mode?
Not at least that I'm aware of. No.
Because I've heard nothing about it. Like you hear everyone saying, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna play Fortnite," and 100 person battle royal. That's not even the full game. The full game is supposed to be PvE, and yet no one has actually gone and tried the PvE mode, which you can purchase. You can try out. It's just I don't know anyone that's done it.
I think it's just because it's one of those things that the popularity is behind PvP. And I'm
Exactly.
sure Fortnite's more than happy to let that game, continue its popularity because it seems to me right now that Fortnite is winning just because of based on who I know that plays video games, more people play Fortnite than they do PUBG. But it's still a possibility that, and I think it's still that PUBG is still winning, if I remember right.
I think PUBG is winning by actual money made. Fortnite, I think, might be a little bit more popular at times due to being free and due to also having kind of more unique mechanics. But I think financially, especially with distribution, I think PlayerUnknown PUBG is doing much better. Um, but I think that's also a weird thing that your most successful mode is PvP, and that's what you're giving away for free with Fortnite. Like, where are you making your money from? Is what I'm kind of wondering.
I'm sure it's a collection of microtransactions and other spiels that go behind it. It's at the end of the day, that game I think is just still in alpha, and that increasing popularity still got to have some form of revenue behind it. I'm not really sure though. I'd be curious to see what the reasoning is to their revenue source. Probably have a Patreon like we do.
Yeah, follow us and help us out there. And that actually leads me to something because we still got a little bit more time on the show. Let's talk about a few news topics that I actually did have in mind for this week. Jordan, for the first time ever, an American team has won a CS:GO major event.
Set a record too. 1.6 million concurrent viewers. That's crazy, man. To think about how CS:GO has grown, and most people are like dead esport lol, and I'm like that's not really true. If you look at their majors, they still pretty much beat everything. Like Overwatch League is literally a children's game when you compare those kind of numbers.
And of course, we're talking about the E-League Boston Major for 2018, in where CS:GO, it's one of the bigger CS:GO major events, and Cloud9, probably one of the best esport companies around, had an American team that finally won, and it's only the second time an American team made it to the grand finals. Team Liquid made it to the grand finals at the same event in 2016. So, holy cow, this is a monumental event for first off American esports teams, and in the world of Counter-Strike Go itself, but also including American success here. We've actually got some success within the Overwatch League. Again, we've talked about the success of it these last few weeks, but finally, an American team has struck down the Seoul Dynasty.
Miracle. We actually took him down for once in our life.
And of course, Jordan and I here, we both made the excellent ideas to have the teams that we're backing and supporting, the teams that we've loved are currently number 10 and 11 on the 12 team standings. So not doing the best. But
That's that sucks, man. I'm just upset at the fact that I chose a team that at first I was like, I'm a fan of them because I'm a fan of like watching Siegel play, and to an extent, just to respect XQC's passion, but also I've learned to really respect Effect. That's a really good rhyme, by the way. Someone should make a T-shirt out of that. Because goodness gracious, that man belongs as a DPS, and I want him to always be my DPS no matter what game we play. But the thing to me that was really funny is that I was like, I'm supporting the Dallas Fuel, and they're like 1-4 right now, and you're like, I support Florida Mayhem, and they're 1-5, and you're supporting the Florida Mayhem, and they're 1-5, and right now I'm just like, haha, maybe we won't be last. I'm not sure.
Well, but I will say this. After avidly following the Overwatch League for these few weeks, I will admit every single team from, actually, I would almost say every single team except the Seoul Dynasty is actually getting better. I'm going to say that because the Shanghai Dragons almost actually knocked off the current number 6 team, Florida Fusion, making it go to a 2-2 game in overtime, almost defeating the Philadelphia Fusion to get their first win. Sadly, they came up a little bit short and are still at the bottom of the pack in 12th place at 0-6. But everyone from the Florida Mayhem to the Dallas Fuel, who finally got a very good win, and Florida Mayhem, who also got their first victory this last week. But even from the lower ranked teams going up to like the New York Excelsior, the London
I don't know.
Spitfire.
You started the week Overwatch League for sure. Like you got. Let me look at this here. Is it this way? Yeah, it's this way. Okay.
We won last week. We didn't win this week.
Oh, I'm going too far now. 17th, is that last week? No, it's not. That's 2 weeks ago. I was looking at 2 weeks ago, and you got Overwatched. Overwatch is when you get swept, by the way, if you're wondering. We got to reference some of these things sometime.
Yeah.
Man,
and well, of course,
I was disappointed that we lost the stupid Boston game. That should have been a win, but whatever.
I will say the Uprising have definitely impressed me. They may be 3-3. They might be in the middle of the pack, 7, almost the middle of the pack. I do believe that the Boston Uprising do have a lot of potential. They definitely had some great games against the London Spitfire, great games against New York XL, defeating, like you said, the Dallas Fuel, who have begun to get a lot better. I think the one biggest thing that was keeping your Dallas Fuel down.
I think I'm also supporting the Dallas Fuel because of the fact that one of their guys, Siegel, looks like our friend Austin, and now that just drives me nuts because every time he walks to the stage, I'm like, Austin! Oh.
I know. It's but I do think that your Dallas Fuel, I think they're finally learning. I think they're finally figuring out what they want to do. They're not being as haphazard. They're not being as kind of throwing all the weight on the carry DPSs that end up not carrying because the tanks aren't doing their job. Like, I think everyone's finally falling into their roles. And I think that's true for almost every single team now. The San Francisco Shock are going to be getting access to Sinatra, the highest paid player in the Overwatch League, coming up here soon. So hopefully that'll turn them around from 9th place. The Uprising have been very impressive. The Fusion, the Valiant, the Outlaws. Everyone has just been turning up their game with every series, every game I see now is getting so much better and so much closer. If you remember week 1, there were a lot of Overwatch games. There were a lot of clean sweeps. But I think we're finally getting to the point where, I think it was just this last week that we had a whole 2 days where all 6 games that were played went to overtime, went to 5 games. And that was just crazy. Crazy impressive that all these teams are getting better. So I'm really, the only 2 teams that I don't see getting better and I actually see getting a little worse are the Seoul Dynasty, because they've been at the top of the pack for so long. I'm not actually noticing any improvements in their gameplay. I actually especially when they were taking on the Shanghai Dragons. I think they were looking a little bit sloppy, actually. So I think the XL or the Spitfire are going to dethrone them here really, really soon.
Yeah, we'll see what happens for sure. We still, every time I think about this, it's like we have 20 more weeks in Overwatch League. It's a legitimate full season. So every time that I look at it, I'm just like, holy cow, I keep forgetting. There's like an entire giant slew of games still left. But
I did find out something interesting though about the stages as they go. So apparently, and this is what I've heard. If I'm wrong, I will correct it next week. But this is what I've heard, that there are 4 stages to the Overwatch League after preseason. Right now, we're currently in stage 1, then the playoffs, then the grand finals. Yep. Apparently, all updates will take place. Any updates to the core game itself take place in between stages. So, with the Mercy and Junkrat nerfs that have hit this week live, I think we're going to see tremendously different games starting in week 6, start of stage 2, going onwards. Because if that's true, and stage 2 is the first non-Mercy meta stage we have for the pros, I think we're going to see some pretty interesting strategies in games, since so many characters like Widowmaker, Tracer, Genji are going to be a lot weaker now that they can't get reliable res or reliable pockets with Mercy. And I think we're actually going to see an influx of a lot more unique heroes. I think we're going to see a lot more Sombra. I think Doomfist is going to make a big comeback in a big way. Reinhardt might even come back a little bit more into the fold, who's been kind of an off meta, or not really a meta pick for a while now. So to me, I see a lot of change happening going into stage 2.
Yeah, like heroes sometimes die versus heroes never die. Yeah, that's right, Mercy mains. You're in trouble.
So I'm taking a look at it, and it looks like there's going to be a 2-week break between stage 1 and stage 2. So I think that is where they are going to actually have the change. I think they're going to have, tell the teams, hey, you got 2 weeks to work out new comps, work out with these new changes. So I for one, just can't wait to see what happens. I think stage 2 is going to be incredible with a lot less Mercy, even though I am a Mercy sub main. I think we're going to see, and I still think we're going to see her on some maps. I think we're going to see her on Ilios, second point, with the importance of Pharah on some of those maps. I do think we are going to see her in those cases, but it'll be very refreshing to see your main boy Lucio, as well as Moira, Zen, and even, Ana getting more playtime in the coming weeks.
For sure. I'm excited. Meta changes are good because it allows your game to have a fresh look at it, and it allows someone to throw some extra hours behind it. So that's a really nice little thing to it personally that I like to see. So kudos to them. It's going to be fun. Overwatch always has a tendency to make something entertaining out of it. But speaking of esports, this coming Saturday of this time that this show airs, so this would be February 3rd, there is a tournament that the production people at Mad City are hosting. It's a Rocket League 2v2 $1,000 prize pool tournament down in Chicago. It's at Ignite Gaming Lounge. For any of you listeners that are down there and you're out and you hear about this, look up the venue, check it out. You can come in and spectate and watch. You can come in and play. It's a really cool gaming lounge, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be there shoutcasting with a few other people. You can also watch this live at twitch.tv/MadCityGG. And then that evening, you can go see Dylan stream. What are you planning to stream this weekend?
Oh, yes. This weekend, I am going to start streaming, and I cannot wait to do this. Finally, due to Atlas getting the stick out of their behinds, we are going to finally get to stream some Persona 5. I cannot wait. It's going to be such an exciting time. And, I might even take some audience interaction with a lot of the choices we make. So it'll be a blast. And also, that night earlier on. Since Jordan here won't be able to see it live, but Jordan, your Dallas Fuel are going to go up against the number 2 team in the league, the New York XL. So hopefully you don't hear about the results of that before you're done commentating, because you want to keep your hyper energy and happiness up before you hear about
this
that.
Like whole weekend
that
is
nasty squash
stuff. It's Super Bowl Sunday is coming up. The tournament that I'm in, that's coming up, and let's see, Overwatch League is still playing this weekend. What else is going on? I'm Still Single is going on this weekend.
Wow, nice way to put yourself out there, Jordan.
Yeah, sometimes it happens. That's the best transition I think I've ever made to it. Anyway, my DMs are open. Sorry. Anyway, I got one more thing I want to talk about before we leave today, and this is kind of a weird topic, but it was just something I wanted to mention. I really miss the Heavy Rain series.
All right, that's an interesting game to kind of cite. I remember Heavy Rain was my first PS3 game, PlayStation 3 game I played, and I don't think I've ever played it or seen it all the way through in one sitting. I think I've seen like different playthroughs, so roughly I have an understanding of the whole game. But what kind of brings this up in your mind recently?
Well, the utter fact that I watched a 6-hour what they call game movie, which is basically someone putting the whole gameplay into a consolidated mix. So this guy did one where he did some slight cuts just to optimize the game, but basically showed the most of the game and decisions. So it took about, I think it was like 5 hours and 50 minutes or something like that. I bring it up because I forgot how much this game actually impacted your decisions properly. To me, I think it was really crazy to think about how, we used to talk about how The Walking Dead and how Until Dawn, how what's the third game that I'm thinking of?
Telltale?
Well, Telltale in general has had like Batman and other stuff too. I guess I could add it in here, Minecraft story mode. It's crazy to me to think about how we respect those games for the decision-making detail, but you forget, back in 2011, that Heavy Rain came out. The utter fact that this game had 22 different endings, and to understand that you could make so many different decisions out of this game. You could have a scenario where you decide to actually cut your finger off in order to help find more information about your son, or you could not do it and keep yourself in decent shape and then just play the guessing game at the end of it. Play as different characters, so you're trying to also formulate their hypotheses and theories about this investigation. And the cool part is that you have like 4 characters you play, and you don't feel like you delve away from those characters as much. You acknowledge that the protagonist is Ethan Mars, the guy that yells Shawn and Jason all the time. But to understand that, like, he's the protagonist, but you can also play the side characters as well. And just to wrap this entire story at the end based on decisions that you made before, I think that's really cool. And in addition to that, those characters can disappear /die because of the fact of decisions that you make. And I'm a fan of it. Like, it's to understand a game that truly understood how to make decisions impactful and meaning and make you want to go back and play the game again. I think they did that correct.
Well, all of the previous games you mentioned before Heavy Rain, they all have the issue that their decisions don't matter. A lot of what you do will just result in the same cutscenes or same endings, most notably, and I think if you haven't played it by now, spoiler alert, I guess, but Telltale Walking Dead Season 1, you pick between Carly and who's the other one? The other guy.
Are you talking about Carly?
In the first episode.
That's Season 2, dude.
No. The first season, the first episode, when Lee is stuck in the hardware store. and you have to choose to save one of those two people, the dude or the chick.
I feel like you're still talking about season 2.
No,
Yeah,
no,
but
no,
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 this
it
is
is season
Lee.
1. Yeah, it's season 1. Lee and Clementine. Yeah, it's season 1.
I in the hardware store. Oh yeah, you're talking about. Okay, yeah, yeah, it was between Carly and. Yeah, no one really knows that guy.
No, no, but here's the thing. No matter which one you pick, the same thing happens. Whoever you don't pick dies. It makes your decision not worth jack. And that's what bugs me about games like that, is that your decisions ultimately don't have as much of an impact as you would think.
That's the disappointing part,
Yeah.
and that's an important thing to think about, because if the genre moves forward more so, I would really love to see that same development company get their hands on another game. It's really tough to make another Heavy Rain instance without really mimicking the duplication. So an original IP may take a few years to truly come out. Because, I mean, I just don't think I've ever seen a game that its primary construct was you have a serial killer that you're trying to find out who it is, and the only way that you're going to find out is by, if you're the main character, you're doing the trials that they've put and set forth in front of you that are crazy, by the way. It's as much as I'll save the details. I actually encourage people, they don't necessarily have to play it, but watching it and just like get a glimpse of what it's like to make different choices. And that's the essence that I want people to feel, is that you make a game that your decision can actually impact something going forth in the future. There is one criticism I'll make, and I think it was just because it was part of the PS3 system, is that they had the Mass Effect Andromeda syndrome, where their mouth syncs and animations weren't very fluent at times. But I'm also remembering this was 2011, and I think at the end of the day, the gameplay wasn't, it compensated for its lack of, I guess, quality animation at times.
Well, Jordan, the creator of Heavy Rain actually has made a bunch of other. His name is David Cage. He has made quite a few other games, some of which are very well received, some of which are not exactly things that you would expect to be highly rated. Check out Omicron: The Nomad Soul. That was his first game that he wrote in '99. But also Fahrenheit, released in 2005. Two that you might be more familiar with because they were a little bit bigger releases. Beyond Two Souls, which had Ellen Page, released in 2013, and Detroit Become Human, which actually drops this year.
Oh my gosh, I forgot that Detroit Become Human. I talked about this before already.
Yeah.
Yo, I told you before, I'm immensely excited about this game. I watched the gameplay footage of it, and it was like 17 minutes or something like that. And you play as a I think they call them an android. And you play as this android, and your goal and objective is, you're basically human in this game. So this is like one of those situations where AI meets human, and the AI is like a proper AI. So I'm excited because it's going to play in a city that has a lot of toil and conflict, and you're there as an AI system, and your intention is to, I think it's like, oh man, I had to relook that up, but I just remember being really excited for it.
Yeah, and it's written by the same guy who wrote the entire story and dialogue for Heavy Rain. So I think it will definitely be good and enjoyable. However, David Cage. So check out some of those other games I mentioned if you're a big fan of Heavy Rain, because he has some great games that had great stories that he's done. Some that weren't as big a hits as well. So like Omicron. Great games though. I think that definitely worth your time if you enjoyed Heavy Rain.
I will definitely have to look at that then. Thanks for the heads up. Well, I think that's close to our time here. We hope that you enjoyed our little bit of a sparring episode here where we, threw around some stuff together. We started with, I don't even remember, and we left with
the Baja Men.
Yeah, we started with the Baja Men, and we eventually went into Heavy Rain. What a slew of conversation. It's a good thing we could deal with each other for a bit, Dylan. Anyway, that is our episode today, guys. As always, we have this episode live on the radio station on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But you can also check us out on twitch.tv/Level Up Weekly. And you can always catch last week's episode on Tuesday and Saturday. You can catch us doing streaming Saturdays, which is just me or Dylan or both of us having a good time and getting to hang out with you guys out in the Twitch realm. So other than that, follow us on Twitter for any updates and news about the setup. And of course, support us over on Patreon and catch previous episodes on Podbean. Bada bing, bada boom. That's like the best plugs system I've ever done. So on that note, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. And tune in next week for your next level experience.